Greetings everyone, we are from Group 6, English First 1, Class B, and here we would like to present our story analysis of a story by Amy Tan entitled Rules of the Game from the Joy Luck Club. Next. Before we start our presentation, here is the list of the members that are Dara, Najla, Andita, Gisela, and Grace. Next. So first explanation will be explained by my friend.
First, illustration of the summary of the analysis. In this analysis, we find that the setting in the story is mainly located in Chinatown because the main character is a resident and lives there. So, the place mentioned and described are in the Chinatown area except when she started her chess tournament. The time in the story is after World War II, and there are various atmospheres depicted in this story. Furthermore, we also discover that this story is using first-person point of view, since the main character tells us the story from her perspective. Next. Tan's book's message is that self-discovery and comprehending one's past can be difficult and complicated journey. Next.
The focus of analysis of our group here is the first one, point of view, focus on analyzing the point of view of the story and the types of narration the author used. And the second one is setting. Focus on identifying the setting of the story, where and when the story takes place, and analyzing how it influenced the storyline. Next.
Now let's move on to the first analysis is the point of view. So the first is the definition of point of view. So according to Dara Ayu in 2014, point of view is a main element of the story which determines the perspective of the story to the readers. It may be a narrator outside the work, or as in omniscient point of view, a narrator inside the work telling the story from a limited omniscient or first point of view, or apparently it could be no one, or as in dramatic point of view. Next.
So the narrator used the first point of view in the story. For your information, the first person point of view means that the story is told from the perspective of someone involved in the story. And the narrator used the pronoun I or we. And in the story, the narrator tells the whole story and speaks with the pronoun I to narrate. So you can look at the example that we gave. It is said, I was 6 when my mother taught me the art of invisible strength. And I think it proves that the narrator used first point of view.
The second is the narrator of the story is also a major character because Waverly, as the narrator itself, also plays as the main character who tells her own story. You can see on the evidence provided here, she was explaining about herself and how her mother named her. Next.
Next is about the type of narrator. So after we analyze the story, we can conclude that the narrator is the naive narrator. So according to reference, naive narrator is a subtype of unreliable narrator, a storytelling device used throughout literature who is often a character in a story whose voice is used to create a sense of ironic observation through their own inexperience and innocence. And the narrator, which is Mei, is considered a naive narrator because it is known from the narrator how naive she is when she was young regarding the game of life. As you can see from the example here, first, it's because of her understanding of the art of invisible strength that her mother taught her when she was 6, and the second one is when she and her brother believed that people emerged from the tradesman door, and the last one is because she had much clearer understanding of chess but not with life experience like her mother. So this proves that the whole story written in is only from her perspective, and considering that she is still young and give limited perspective only from her understanding, she is considered as naive narrator. Next.
So we move on to the setting. Next.
So the next one is definition of setting. According to Britannica 2016, setting in literature is the location and time frame in which the action of a narrative takes place. The environment described in the story often influence the behaviors and personal characteristics of characters.
The first one is setting of play. Most of the setting of the story is stated explicitly, and the story mainly takes place in Chinatown, San Francisco, because the protagonist, Mei Mei, lives there in Waverly Place. And as the protagonist mentions some places in Chinatown, such as Medical Herb Shop, Ping Yuan Fish Market, and Hongxing Cafe. Next.
The next setting place is in a playground, a place where Waverly saw a group of men who played chess, and high school auditorium where one of the chess tournament was held. You can see the evidence on the pic provided here. Next.
And the next one is setting atmosphere. Atmosphere here refers to the feeling or emotion that readers get from narrative based on details such as setting, background, objects, and foreshadowing. And in this atmosphere, there is 4 atmospheres: spring, quiet, cold, and dark. You can see the example that we gave in the right side.
The next 3 atmosphere are emotions. The first one is tense, as you can see from the evidence on the first picture. It is of confrontation. The next one is awkward, as you can see from the second picture. It is because of the sharp silence. And the last one is distant, as you can see from the last picture. It is because nobody looked at her. Next.
The last is setting of time. We conclude here that the story takes place after World War II, because we can see from the story when Mimi's brother received a replicate of World War II submarine toy when the Christmas, as you can see in the first pic. And Mimi's birthday also in 1951. Meanwhile, the World War II ended around 1945. And we also found the time setting in Christmas because the story also told about Mimi family celebrated the Christmas in the church. And the last one is spring season. When Mimi found out first about old men playing chess in the playground and interested in learning it. Next.
So the last one is conclusion. In conclusion, rules of the game by Amy Tan mainly takes place in Chinatown, San Francisco, which its environment and areas gives huge contribution on the development of the main character, from innocent young girl to the chess prodigy. The story is told from first point of view, where the one who tells the story is the main character, which is Mimi. Next. And here are the reference that we use to support our analysis. Next.
That is all from us. Thank you so much for listening. And if you have any question, feel free to ask. Thank you.